We're going to look at the front pages of the papers now, and we begin with the Times. And Minister, your views, what do you think about this? Please do let us know, news@sky.com. If you've got a flash lamp, I would appreciate it, because I'm sitting in the dark here. A light has exploded over our head here.
We could get a torch out for you if you like. Would that help?
It might be. Maybe I should just stop talking and
we'll do it
illuminate everyone with Mrs. Beltrao here.
Oh, yes. Coming up, we're going to have the cricketer who's on the verge of making Test history. We've been saying that.
Thank you very much indeed. A rundown of what else is happening news-wise. Here's Charlotte.
Thanks, Eamon. David Cameron returns this morning after his first official trip to the United States as Prime Minister. One of his last stops was New York.
Killers. Don't be fooled.
Well, they will be one day, but they
cuddliness.
still look quite cute at that stage, don't they, fortunately?
Now, Charlotte, the summer camp situation, I was talking to the minister responsible, Francis Maud, about this. This is the so-called sort of national service, where they're saying to take youngsters off the street, youngsters with mixed abilities mixing together. What are folks saying about this morning?
Yeah, a lot of reaction about this. I think people broadly welcome it, but they are commenting on how they think it'll work. Olivia Jarman in Milton Keynes says the government should take all teenagers off the streets in the summer. This camp will teach the children of today some life skills, which many are lacking in. Hazel in Kent thinks it should go further. She says it should be national service and it should be compulsory like other countries. C. Dunn is a teacher, and they say, I can assure you students do complete work experience and voluntary work as part of enrichment weeks. That happens at school at the end of each year. Brian in Melton Mowbray, he obviously isn't impressed. He says if David Cameron was old enough to experience compulsory national service, he would not so readily compare his harebrained scheme to it. And John in Newquay says, I believe we need training schools for parents and not the teens.
Yeah, because a lot would depend on whether the parents actually play ball in this. But in your role, when you were Chief Girl Guide, I'm not joking as well, people think I'm joking this. When you were Chief Girl Guide, what's your view of this? Do you think that people are better off joining the existing organisations, or do you quite like the appeal of I reckon you'd like a bit of camp, wouldn't you?
Well, the thing is, though, I think with something like this, when it's voluntary, they're probably not going to get the people that ideally they'd want. So I think they need to think of some way of either getting everybody on board or trying to encourage...
So you're saying that the people who will volunteer for this are the ones that would go into these schemes anyway? It's the ones who are going to be more reluctant is who you really...
They're the ones they need to be targeting.
Getting your hands on. Well, It's an interesting initiative, and thanks for your reaction to all those sort of things. Tour de France, after Des. Right, let's have a look now through the showbiz stories making the newspapers today. Mr. Tony Cowell, and oddly enough, the first story we begin with is very close to home for you, because there's a legal action being brought against your brother. Tell us why.
Well, this is a singer from Britain's Got Talent, Emma Sazika, is it, who went on the show and says she was humiliated in front of 20 million people. If I remember her correctly, I think she was very lucky to be able to sing in front of 20 million people. She was clearly not a great singer, and Simon told her that. So now she's claiming that she wants this money because she had disabilities and it's made her and given her illnesses and stuff like that. But the point is, when you go on these shows, you know, you have to sign a massive form telling obviously you've got a history of any illnesses or whether you're allergic to pears. Or stuff like that. Or Simon, yeah. But I think it's crazy, and I just don't think it will go ahead.
She was singing "You Raise Me Up," and your brother said, "Emma, this is a beautiful song when you're not singing it."
Well, look, you know,
and I think I speak on behalf of everyone that you have a horrible singing voice. He said, "Let's take a reality check." She thought it was the microphone. He said, "It's not the music, it's not the microphone. It is you." She said this took away her self-respect and dignity, and being involved in that show is the equivalent to modern-day slavery.
Well, look, you know, it's not as if it's the first show. Everybody
knows.
Did you
see her, Jackie? Did you see this?
No, but I just think if you're going to go on Britain's Got Talent or any of those shows, you know exactly what's going to happen. Yes.
So if it was the very first show, I'd understand it. God, I'm really shocked by this. But everyone knows how this works, so I cannot see how this action can go further.
OK.
Thanks for that.
You know you're going to be humiliated.
I think some people just aren't used to being told things like that, though, are they? Obviously, nobody's, turned around to these people and said, do you know what, actually, you can't sing. They've obviously said, yeah, you've got a lovely singing voice, so that makes them think that they can go up there and do it.
Ever since she was 5, people told her to stand on the table and sing, and she was brilliant.
That's why.
Lindsay Lohan, what about her stay in jail, however brief?
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, she started what was a 90-day prison sentence for breaking her parole thing, and and now I understand that she's only going to serve 9 days. Because of overcrowding in prisons. But what I think is worrying about this, and I genuinely hope that this does her good, so to speak, of being in prison, but she's got her own prescription drugs in there, one of which apparently is like a substitute for cocaine. So, the girl needs to sort of use this as a way of making herself better. I just hope she gets bail. I remember that thing with Robert Downey Jr., when he had his problems and he went to jail a couple of times with cocaine and stuff like that. He used that to make himself better, came back, and now he's a massive
hasn't he come back or
A-list
what?
star.
Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes,
so
all
it
the
can
rest.
be done, and I hope it does.
Look, can we just... This picture of Billie Piper in the papers today, we had James Whale commenting on this earlier. Maybe this is not as bad as it looks. Maybe it is as bad as it looks. What do you think?
Well, it's a clever picture, actually, because you look very closely at it. You can see that, Billie's actually in the foreground and the child's in the background.
Yes.
At first glance, you think she's blowing smoke into her into the child's face. She's not. She's doing it behind the child's back. Look, the bottom line is it's outdoors. It's outside in a pub.
Right. OK, you say that probably from the perspective of being a smoker. I'm only guessing.
Yes, you are guessing correctly.
You're not a smoker, Jacqueline. What do you
No,
think of
I'm
this?
really, really against smoking. I grew up in a house where there was a lot of smoke around all the time,
So
an
you
Irish
don't
house with
think
lots
that's
of cigarettes.
clever?
And I just really am
Charlotte?
against that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with smoking around children at all, but I do think, you just don't know the circumstances under which this picture was taken, do you?
Isabel, you're a mummy.
Yeah, she's still a smoker.
Yeah,
And I make her go outside wherever she is. But, I mean...
But no
But
children
this
around.
is what they're
No, I don't
doing,
like the
isn't
children
it? They're
around.
both
Yeah, I
parents are
mean, I think
smokers,
that's-
so they've gone outside to smoke. That's my point.
I think that's a good
Well, you
try.
get rid of the smoky smell with Jennifer Aniston's whiff. She's created a perfume, Heaven Sent. Tell me about this.
Well, she's over here promoting this perfume, which is fine. But she looks fantastic. She's 41, if you look at these pictures at the top, they're obviously the airbrushed photographs for the campaign to promote the perfume. I just wonder if that's fair. That she can.
Why?
Well, because if my brother had a not a perfume perhaps, but an aftershave out, I don't think they'd airbrush him.
But does it matter the way
But
you
in
look or
real
the way you
life,
smell?
wait,
Really?
Well, that's right.
In another paper, she's posed in front of those pictures, and
is
she
she?
looks amazing.
Yeah.
In real life.
It's
fair
not like
enough,
she's
you don't-
dramatically different, is it, from
I
how
just
they
think that
portrayed
she's,
her?
underweight.
No, it's
again
the
as well.
sub-headline that gets me. It says, Jen launches a perfume and reveals how she works out every day.
Yeah,
So what are they saying? Is that the perfume you're wearing, Jennifer, or have you just been jogging? Have you been out in the gym? Well, maybe it doesn't say much to that. Tony, thanks very much indeed
Pleasure.
for that. Jacqueline, sports-wise, what have you got?
It is less than a month to the start of the new Premier League campaign, and the pre-season build-up is in full swing right now. Manchester United made it 2 wins out of 2 on their tour of North.
Charlotte?
Yeah, we've had lots of emails on these boot camps this morning. Another quick one for you. Keith in Kent says it sounds great in concept. However, the fact it's voluntary means that the troublemakers simply won't attend. He says if you're going to bring back national service, do it properly with drill sergeants for teens with ASBOs. That'll sort them out, he says.
OK, and that announcement's going to happen later today. You'll see it covered here on Sky News. Isabel, weather-wise?
I'm hoping it's OK for Jackie this afternoon, who's looking for some dry weather with no showers. But there will be some showers around. Let's take a look at where they are.
That was a great weather forecast. Thought you were going to go on for the month ahead there.
I've got a lot to say.
No, stopping you. So that's good news, is it, for Jackie's kids'
My kids' party,
today?
yeah, in the
I mean,
garden.
it's touch and go. But, yeah, I just think they'll have a great time in that paddling pool with
It's
rain
been so
coming down.
nice so far. Trust me to have a party on the day it rains.
Thank you, Tony Kyle. That is your sunrise for another morning. We leave you now after the break. Matt Smith with the Live Desk.